The massive doors of the Proxima Station Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador William Hayes walked inside, his polished black shoes clicking against the metal floor. The huge room stretched upward like a cathedral, with rows of alien delegates seated on curved platforms. Their strange forms cast shadows on the walls as bright lights hung from above. Hayes adjusted his dark blue suit and straightened his tie. He had been Earth's representative for 5 years, but he still felt small in this room. The aliens around him were giants. The Vorn warriors stood 3 meters tall with thick armor shells. The gas-like essence beings floated in their glass containers. The insect-like krill clicked their mandibles as they spoke in their strange language. "The council meeting will now begin," announced the voice translator speaking in perfect English for Hayes. The translator was a small metal device everyone wore like an earpiece. Hayes took his seat in the human section. Next to him sat 3 other human delegates. They all wore similar dark suits and worried expressions. They knew today's meeting would not go well. At the center of the room, the High Judge Vexillar raised his 4 arms. He was one of the ancient beings who had started the Galactic Council 5,000 years ago. His body looked like metal and crystal mixed together, and his voice sounded like thunder when he spoke. "Today we discuss the human expansion into the Kepler system," Vexillar announced. The translator made his words clear for everyone. Hayes felt his stomach twist. The Kepler system contained 12 planets. 3 had water and oxygen. Humans had started building colonies there 2 years ago, but now other species claimed the system belonged to them. "The humans have no right to these worlds," said a deep voice. It came from Shirak, the largest Vorn warrior in the council. His armor was darker than the others, marked with battle scars. He stood up and pointed one massive arm at Hayes. "They barely know how to travel between stars. They still use primitive fusion engines." "We arrived at Kepler first," Hayes stood up to argue. His voice shook slightly. "We have recorded proof of our ships landing there before anyone else." "Your ships?" Shirak laughed. The sound was like rocks grinding together. "You mean those ancient relics? Your oldest vessel is the USS Vengeance, and it is 200 years old. We have ships in our museums that are younger than that." Other aliens joined in the laughter. The krill clicked their mandibles rapidly, which meant amusement in their culture. The essence beings changed colors in swirling patterns, showing their entertainment. Even the peaceful Delari, who usually stayed neutral, nodded their flower-like heads in agreement. "The USS Vengeance is a fine ship," Hayes said, trying to sound confident. "It has protected human space for generations." "Protected from what?" another alien asked. The speaker was Tekresh of the Dominion Empire, sitting in the highest row of seats. Their species controlled the most planets in the galaxy. "Pirates? Small raids? You humans have never fought a real war. You have never faced the full might of an empire." Shirak stepped forward again. His heavy boots shook the floor. "Your ship might have been impressive to your ancestors, but today it is nothing. My warriors could board it in minutes. Your weapons would not even scratch our shields." "The Vengeance may be old, but it still serves us well," Hayes replied, his face getting hot with anger. "We maintain and upgrade it constantly." "Upgrades?" Shirak made a dismissive gesture. "You add new paint and call it modern. Your technology is decades behind the standard. Your energy shields flicker when hit by basic weapons. Your medical bay still uses physical surgery instead of cellular reconstruction." More laughter filled the chamber. Hayes felt helpless. Everything Shirak said was true. Human technology lagged behind other species. Earth had only made contact with aliens 50 years ago, while others had been spacefaring for thousands of years. "Let us vote," declared High Judge Vexillar. "All in favor of expelling humans from the Kepler system, raise your appendages." Hayes watched in horror as countless arms, tentacles, and other limbs rose into the air. Every major empire voted against Earth. Only a few small species abstained from voting. "The motion passes," Vexillar announced. "Humans are hereby ordered to abandon all claims in the Kepler system. You have 72 hours to evacuate your colonies and ships." "This is unfair," Hayes shouted. "We have families living there. Thousands of people who gave up everything to build new homes. They can keep living there, Takresh said smoothly. As citizens of the Dominion Empire, we will absorb your colonies. The humans can stay as workers, of course. Supervised workers. Supervised? Hayes repeated. The word felt like ice in his mouth. Yes, Shirak said with satisfaction. We cannot trust primitive beings to govern themselves. Your people will work for us. They will receive fair wages and protection. It is better than they deserve. You have 72 hours, Vexlar repeated. After that time, any human vessel remaining in Kepler space will be considered hostile. They will be destroyed. The meeting ended abruptly. Aliens began filing out of the chamber, talking among themselves. Hayes heard snippets of conversation through his translator. Did you see his face when we mentioned the USS Vengeance? One. Krill chittered to another. They think that old scrap heap can protect them. I almost feel bad for them, said a Delari diplomat. But they should have stayed in their own system. Primitives always overreach, agreed a Dominion official. Now, they will learn their place. Hayes remained in his seat long after most aliens had left. His hands gripped the armrest so tightly his knuckles turned white. The other human delegates tried to comfort him, but he barely heard them. One of them, a young woman named Lisa Morgan, sat beside him. She was not a diplomat, but a scientist. Hayes had brought her to observe how the council worked. Ambassador, she said softly, we need to send a message to the Vengeance. Captain Alex Turner should know about this immediately. Hayes nodded slowly. You are right. He took out his communication device and began composing the message. His fingers trembled as he typed. How could he tell Turner that their ship, their pride, had been insulted so badly? How could he tell him that humanity had been given an ultimatum? As he typed, Lisa watched the remaining aliens with interest. She was young, only 25, but brilliant. She had studied alien technology for years, dreaming of the day humans could match their achievements. Ambassador, she said suddenly. Did you notice something strange about Shirak's comments? What do you mean? Hayes asked without looking up from his message. He seemed to know a lot about the Vengeance's specifications. Too much detail for a ship he claims to despise so much. Hayes finally looked at her. What are you saying? I am saying that maybe they fear us more than they show. Maybe the USS Vengeance has something they do not want us to discover. The thought lingered in the air as Hayes finished his message. He pressed send, and the fate of human presence in the Kepler system now rested with the crew of their oldest warship. Outside the station, in the darkness of space, a Vorn battlecruiser prepared to depart. Shirak stood on its bridge, looking at the star maps. The Kepler system glowed on the display. Prepare the fleet, he ordered his crew. We leave. In 60 hours, I want to be the first to destroy any human ship that remains. Commander, his second-in-command asked, why do we wait so long? We could destroy them now. Shirak made a low growling sound. Because I want them to know it is coming. I want them to fear. And I want to be there when they realize their ancient ship cannot save them. He touched a control panel, and the image of the USS Vengeance appeared on screen. It was an old military file, showing technical specifications and battle records. Shirak studied it carefully as he had many times before. Sleep well, humans, he muttered. Your time ends soon. The USS Vengeance floated silently in the black void near the gas giant Kepler 9. The old warship looked battered and worn from the outside. Its hull showed patches of different metals where repairs had been made over 2 centuries. But inside, the ship, alarms now screamed through the corridors. Captain Alex Turner sat in his command chair staring at the message from Ambassador Hayes. The bridge lights had dimmed to red alert mode. Around him, his bridge crew worked at their stations with grim determination. 72 hours, Turner said, reading the message for the 3rd time. They give us 72 hours to abandon everything we have built. His first officer, Commander, Lisa Morgan, stood beside him. She had returned from the Proxima station earlier that day with the ambassador's team. Her face was pale but resolute. Captain, she said quietly. There is something else you should know. The alien delegates mocked our ship, called it an ancient relic, but Chirac knew too many specific details about the Vengeance. Turner raised an eyebrow. What kind of details? He mentioned our shield frequency variations. He knew about our medical bay equipment, things that are not in our public records. Before Turner could respond, Chief Engineer Robert Johnson's voice crackled through the communication system. Captain, you might want to come to the engineering deck. We have found something unusual. On my way, Turner replied. He turned to Lisa. You have the bridge. I will be back shortly. Turner walked through the familiar corridors of his ship. The Vengeance had been his home for 15 years. Every scratch on the walls told a story. Every sound of the engines was like a friend's heartbeat. He knew every inch of this ship. The engineering deck was deep in the heart of the Vengeance. When Turner arrived, he found Robert Johnson and his team gathered around a section of the wall. They had removed a large panel, revealing a complex array of circuits and cables behind it. What did you find, Chief? Turner asked. Johnson pointed to the exposed electronics. Sir, we were running diagnostics on our power systems. Everything was checking out normally until we reached this section. According to our schematics, this is just backup life support. But look at this. He touched a specific cable. This line carries enough energy to power our main weapons. That does not make sense, Turner said, frowning. Why would backup life support need that much power? Exactly what I wondered, Johnson replied. So I dug deeper. I found sealed access, ports that should not be here. They were painted over and hidden, but still functional. When I connected my testing equipment, the entire system came to life. What entire system? Johnson pressed a sequence of buttons on his diagnostic tool. Suddenly, holographic displays appeared in the air above them. Text and diagrams filled the engineering space, all written in languages Turner had never seen before. These are not standard operating systems, Johnson continued. They are written in old Earth programming code, a language so ancient that our computers cannot fully translate it. But from what we can understand, this ship has more than we thought. Turner stared at the floating text. Some parts were in English, but strange variations of it. Words he recognized mixed with terms he did not understand. What are you saying, Chief? I am saying that the USS Vengeance is not 200 years old, Captain. It is much older. These systems suggest it could be 1,000 years old or more. We have been flying around in a piece of ancient Earth history. Turner felt dizzy. The implications were enormous. Are you telling me that our ship is from before the first colony ships left Earth, before we even had fusion power? It appears so, sir. And there is more. Johnson pressed another command. A new holographic display appeared, showing weapon systems that Turner did not recognize. These schematics show weapons and defensive systems we never knew we had. They were sealed away, hidden behind false panels and dummy circuits. Our ancestors covered them up so well that even our best engineers never found them. Why would they do that? Turner asked. Maybe they were afraid, suggested Karen Ross, the navigation officer who had just entered engineering. Maybe our ancestors feared what this ship could do. Johnson nodded in agreement. Whatever the reason, these systems are still functional. They are just dormant, waiting. Turner touched one of the floating diagrams. It showed a weapon labeled Gravity Distortion Projector. The description was in that strange old Earth language, but the power readings were clear. This single weapon drew more energy than their entire modern weapons system. Can we activate these systems? Turner asked. Theoretically, yes, Johnson replied. But sir, I do not know what will happen. We are dealing with technology we do not fully understand. Turner thought of the ultimatum. 72 hours. The Vorn fleet would arrive to destroy any remaining human ships. His old ship and its crew against an alien empire that saw them as primitive insects. Captain, called a voice from the communication station, we are receiving a message from the colonies on Kepler 4. They want to know if we will protect them. Turner felt the weight of responsibility. Thousands of humans lived on those colonies. Families, children, people who had given up everything, to build new lives in this system. Could he abandon them? Could he let the Vorn take over? Sir, Johnson spoke up again, if we activate these systems, we may discover why the aliens treated us with such fear and disrespect. Maybe our ancestors did something that scared the galaxy, something that made other species see us as a threat. Or maybe, Lisa said, having left the bridge to join them, they see us as weak now because we forgot our own strength. Turner looked around at his crew. Their faces showed determination mixed with fear. They were asking him to awaken something ancient and powerful, something that had been sleeping for centuries. Chief Johnson, Turner said firmly, begin the activation sequence, but do it carefully. I want all safety protocols in place. Aye, sir, Johnson replied. He turned to his engineering team. You, heard the captain, start bringing the systems online. Begin with the lowest power levels. As the engineers worked, strange humming sounds filled the ship. Lights flickered differently, showing patterns that had not been seen in generations. The Vengeance began to feel different. Not just old metal and circuits, but something alive, something that was remembering. In the medical bay, Dr. Emily Watson noticed her equipment beginning to display readings she had never seen before. Diagnostic tools that still used physical scans suddenly showed data about cellular structure at quantum levels. In the weapons control room, Daniel Price watched in amazement as new targeting systems appeared on his screens. The old manual controls now showed options for weapons he could not imagine. Throughout the ship, the crew discovered that the Vengeance was more than they had ever known. Hidden compartments opened, sealed corridors revealed themselves. Ancient security systems deactivated locks that had not been touched for hundreds of years. Back in engineering, Johnson carefully monitored the power levels. Captain, the main reactor is responding to commands we never programmed. It is like the ship knows what to do. Crew status? Turner asked. All departments reporting unusual changes, sir, but no injuries. The ship seems to be protecting us. Sir, called Karen Ross. I just found something in the navigation database. Coordinates for locations marked as emergency supply depots. These places are not on any current star maps. Turner felt a chill run down his spine. How many locations? 17, sir, all scattered across the galaxy. And the aliens never found them, Lisa wondered aloud. Maybe they found some, Turner suggested. Maybe that is why they fear us. They know what humans are capable of, even if we forgot. Captain, Johnson announced, systems are stabilizing. The ancient tech is fully integrated with our modern controls. We now have access to weapons and defenses that frankly terrify me. Can we stop the activation if we need to? Turner asked. Yes, sir. We have full control. But, sir, once we use these weapons, everyone will know what this ship really is. The galaxy will know humans still have this power. Turner walked to the nearest view screen. Through it, he could see the stars of the Kepler system. Somewhere out there, colonists waited for his protection. And somewhere else, an alien fleet prepared to attack. Schrock thought he would find an ancient relic, Turner said quietly. But what he will find is an ancient warrior. We are not the ones who should be afraid. He activated the ship's communication system. This is Captain Alex Turner to all crew. In 72 hours, we face a challenge. Not just to our ship, but to humanity's right to exist among the stars. I will not sugarcoat this. The odds are against us, but we have something the aliens forgot about. We have the strength of our ancestors. We have the spirit that drove humans to leave Earth and claim the stars. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. We will not run. We will not hide. When that fleet arrives, they will learn that the USS Vengeance is more than an old relic. It is a reminder of what humans truly are. A species that fights for what is right. A species that protects its own. As his words echoed through the ship, the ancient systems hummed with power. The Vengeance, sleeping for so long, was finally awake, and it was ready for war. 24 hours had passed since Captain Turner ordered the activation of the ancient systems. The USS Vengeance now hummed with power it had not felt in centuries. Throughout the ship, crew members discovered new capabilities they never imagined possible. In the weapons control room, Daniel Price stood before consoles that had once been blank metal panels. Now they glowed with tactical displays showing weapon systems that defied understanding. Katie Anderson, the youngest ensign aboard, worked beside him, her fingers moving carefully over the strange controls. "This cannot be real," Price muttered, as he read another weapons specification. "This gravity bomb system says it can create a small black hole that pulls ships apart." Katie looked over his shoulder. "The energy requirements are impossible. Our reactor should not be able to power something like this." "According to the diagnostics, the reactor is operating at 30% capacity," Price replied. "And that is enough for the gravity weapons. These systems were designed for a much more powerful reactor." Dr. Henry Blake, the ship's archaeotechnology specialist, entered the weapons room. He carried a thick stack of printouts covered in strange text. Blake was an older man with graying hair who had joined the crew hoping to study alien technology. He never expected to find mysteries aboard his own ship. "I have been going through the ship's ancient logs," Blake announced. "The ones we found in the sealed databanks. Most are corrupted or written in codes we cannot decrypt. But I found something that works." He placed his stack on a table and activated a holographic display. A star map appeared in the air, showing Earth and surrounding systems as they looked 1,000 years ago. "This map is from the First Contact War," Blake continued. "A conflict that apparently occurred 800 years before we officially met aliens." "The First Contact War?" Price asked. "I have never heard of it." "None of us have," Blake said grimly. "According to these logs, it was classified at the highest levels, hidden from history. But apparently, humans did meet alien species centuries before we thought, and we did not get along." The hologram changed, showing battle scenes. Human ships faced off against alien vessels of designs they did not recognize. The battles were fierce and brutal. The USS Vengeance was one of 5 ships in its class, Blake explained. They were called the Titan-class warships, purpose-built to fight against alien empires that saw humanity as a threat. These ships were not made for exploration or colonization. They were made for war. Katie stared at the display. What happened to the war? Why was it hidden? From what I can understand, it ended in something like a stalemate. Both sides agreed to a secret peace treaty. Humans would pretend to be less advanced than they were. The aliens would grant us a small sphere of influence. Everyone would forget. The war happened. "But why would humans agree to that?" Price asked. Blake touched the controls again. The display showed a diagram of technology far beyond what humans supposedly had, because we had technology that scared even our enemies. Weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. Defensive systems that could stop time itself. Both sides feared that continuing the war would destroy the galaxy. The hologram changed. Again, showing blueprints of the Vengeance's hidden systems. Weapons that manipulated physics itself. Shields that existed in multiple dimensions. Engines that could tear holes in spacetime. "So all this time," Price said slowly, "we have been flying around in a warship from a war that never officially happened." "Exactly," Blake confirmed. "And now Chirac has forced us to remember, to use this power again." Meanwhile, in the bridge, Captain Turner listened as Communications Officer Rachel Martinez reported incoming messages. The colonists on Kepler-4 were growing nervous. They could see the alien fleets gathering at the edge of the system. "Sir," Rachel said, "the Delari ambassador wants to speak with you privately. She claims to have urgent information." "Put her through," Turner ordered. The view screen activated, showing the flower-like alien. Her petals trembled as she spoke. "Captain Turner, I will be brief. My people remember the First Contact War, though we were ordered never to speak of it. We know what your ship truly is." "What exactly are you telling me?" Turner asked carefully. I'm telling you that Chirac has made a terrible mistake. He thinks he leads a force against primitive humans, but he leads his warriors against the descendants of those who once made the entire galaxy tremble. Please, for the sake of my people who live in this system, Show mercy when you destroy his fleet. The transmission ended abruptly. Turner sat back in his chair, processing what he had heard. If even the peaceful Delary feared human ships, what exactly had humanity done in that forgotten war? Down in the engineering section, Chief Johnson discovered something that made his blood run cold. Hidden in the deepest parts of the ship's systems was a weapon labeled simply as the final option. The description was minimal, but the power requirements were astronomical. "Captain," Johnson called through the communication system, "you need to see this. Bring Dr. Blake with you." When Turner and Blake arrived in engineering, Johnson showed them what he had found. The holographic display revealed a weapon that could only be activated with special authorization codes. Codes that required the personal approval of humanity's highest military authority. "What does it do?" Turner asked. "From what I can determine," Johnson replied carefully, "it creates a wave of energy that rewrites the fundamental forces of physics in a specific area. Everything caught in the wave simply stops existing, not destroyed, just gone, as if it was never there." Blake examined the specs closely. "The range on this weapon is enormous. It could affect an entire solar system. No wonder humanity agreed to hide this technology," Turner said. "A weapon like this is too dangerous for anyone to know about." "Sir," Johnson added, "there is something else. I found maintenance logs. This ship, and others like it, were regularly serviced in secret even after the peace treaty. As recently as 50 years ago, someone has been keeping the Titan-class ships ready." "Who?" Turner demanded. "The logs are encrypted, but the signature, codes suggest it was authorized at the highest levels of Earth government. Someone knew this day might come." Later, in the ship's conference room, Turner gathered his senior officers. The table showed holographic displays of the approaching enemy fleet. 30 Vorn battlecruisers, each capable of destroying a human colony with ease. "Report on our capabilities," Turner ordered. Lisa, who had been studying the tactical systems, began. "We now have access to weapons that give us significant advantages. The gravity distortion weapons can affect groups of targets. The quantum torpedoes phase through shields before detonation. The reality warper can confuse enemy sensors so badly they might attack each other." "Defenses?" asked Steve Parker, the tactical officer. "Multi-dimensional shields that can absorb energy from multiple sources," Lisa continued. "Probability manipulators that make enemy weapons less likely to hit us. And something called temporal displacement that moves us slightly forward in time to avoid attacks." "How do we compare to the enemy fleet?" Turner asked. "One-on-one, we outclass them significantly," Parker answered. "But there are 30 of them. Even with our advanced systems, fighting all of them at once will be challenging." "Time until they arrive?" Turner asked Rachel at Communications. 48 hours, sir. They are taking a longer route to gather more ships." Turner stood up, looking at each of his officers. These were people he had served with for years, people who trusted him with their lives. Now he had to trust them with the future of humanity. "I want everyone to understand something," he said. "We have the power to win this fight. But using this power will change everything. Once the galaxy sees what humans can do, we can never go back to being seen as primitive newcomers. We will be feared, maybe hated by some species. But respected," Lisa added. "Yes," Turner agreed. "Respected and feared. The question is, are we ready for that responsibility?" "Sir," said Mike Thompson, the Marine Unit Commander. "With respect, being underestimated has led to this situation. Maybe it is time the galaxy remembered why our ancestors were once considered equals." Turner nodded slowly. "Then we prepare for war. But remember, we fight for those colonies, for the families who chose to build new homes here. We fight with honor, using only what force is necessary." He touched the communication button. "All hands, this is the captain. Stand down from red alert. We go to combat ready status. In 2 days we show Chirac and the galaxy what the USS Vengeance truly is. We show them that humanity never lost its strength. We just misplaced it for a while." As the crew moved to their stations, the ancient ship hummed with anticipation. The Vengeance had slept for centuries, but now it was fully awake, and it remembered everything. The Vorn fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. 30 massive battle cruisers formed a perfect battle formation, their dark hulls reflecting the distant sun. Each ship was 5 times larger than the USS Vengeance, bristling, with enough weapons to level a city. On the bridge of the flagship destroyer's Pride, Chirac studied the tactical display. His second-in-command, Vector, stood beside him. "The human warship remains in position near the gas giant," Vector reported. "They have not attempted to flee." "Fools," Chirac growled. "Open a communication channel. I want to offer them one final chance to surrender." The holographic display activated, showing Captain Turner on the bridge of the Vengeance. The human looked calm, almost relaxed, as he sat in his command chair. "Commander Chirac," Turner said, "I assume you have come to enforce the Council's ultimatum." "Your time has expired, human," Chirac replied. "Surrender your ship and prepare to be boarded. You will be taken into custody. Your colonists will become workers under Vorn protection." Turner smiled slightly. "I have a counteroffer. Turn your fleet around and leave Kepler space. Take this message to the Galactic Council. Humanity will defend what is ours." Chirac's mandibles clicked in amusement. "You dare to make demands? You have one ancient ship against 30 of our most powerful battle cruisers. Your bravado is admirable, but foolish." "Our ship may be ancient," Turner agreed, "but perhaps you should reconsider what ancient means to humanity." "The time for talk is over," Chirac declared. "Battle formation, prepare to fire." The communication ended. On the Vengeance bridge, the crew moved to their battle stations with practiced efficiency. The lights dimmed to tactical mode, casting everything in a red glow. "All departments report ready for combat," Lisa announced. "Weapons armed and targeting solutions locked," Daniel Price confirmed. "Shields at maximum, all defensive systems online," Steve Parker added. "Communications channel open to the colonies," Rachel Martinez reported. "They are in secure bunkers." As ordered. Turner took a deep breath. "Remember the plan. We show them our capabilities gradually. First, conventional defense. Then we reveal what humanity truly is." The Vorn fleet advanced in formation. At maximum range, all 30 ships fired their main cannons simultaneously. Crimson energy beams lanced across space toward the lone human vessel. "Incoming fire," called the weapons officer. "Impact in 3 seconds. Activate primary shields," Turner ordered calmly. The ancient shield system engaged. Where the Vorn energy beams should have struck, the light bent around the Vengeance like water flowing around a stone. The ship sat untouched, inside a shimmering bubble of distorted space. On the destroyer's Pride, Vector stared at the displays in confusion. "Our weapons registered direct hits, but the human ship shows no damage." "Impossible," Chirac muttered. "Increase power to weapons. Fire again." The Vorn fleet unleashed another barrage, this time at increased energy levels. The space around the Vengeance blazed with light as countless attacks were deflected or absorbed. "Captain," Lisa reported, "shields holding at 98% efficiency. The enemy is causing minimal drain on our power systems." "Time to return fire," Turner decided. "Conventional weapons first. Target their formation leader." The Vengeance rotated smoothly on its axis. From hidden ports that had been sealed for centuries, weapons emerged that looked deceptively simple compared to their true capability. "Firing solution locked on destroyer's Pride," Price announced. "Fire," Turner ordered. A single quantum torpedo launched from the Vengeance. Unlike the bright energy weapons of the Vorn, this projectile was nearly invisible, a shimmer in space that moved faster than light itself. Chirac watched the torpedo approach on his displays. "Point defense systems. Engage." The destroyer's Pride fired hundreds of interceptor missiles at the incoming torpedo. Energy screens activated to block its path. Every defensive system engaged simultaneously. The quantum torpedo passed through, all defenses as if they did not exist. It phased out of normal space, appearing inside the battlecruiser's shields, then detonated. The explosion was contained within the Vorn ship's own shields, magnifying the damage. The destroyer's pride shuddered as internal systems overloaded. Lights flickered throughout the ship. "Damage report," Chirac roared. "Severe damage to decks 7 through 12, Vectar replied, his voice showing strain. "Gravity generators offline, weapon systems at 60%. How did they penetrate our shields?" Before anyone could answer, the Vengeance fired again. 3 more quantum torpedoes, each targeting a different battlecruiser. Each found its mark despite desperate defensive efforts. "All ships," Chirac commanded. "Converge on the human vessel, close to point-blank range, surround them." The Vorn fleet changed formation, vessels moving to encircle the Vengeance. They would overwhelm the human ship with concentrated firepower from all directions. "Captain," Parker warned, "they are attempting to surround us. If they succeed, even our shields might not hold against concentrated fire from all angles." "Activate the gravity distortion field," Turner ordered. "Aye, sir," Price responded. He initiated the ancient weapon system that had been discovered in the ship's hidden armory. From the Vengeance, invisible waves of altered gravity rippled outward. The first Vorn ships to enter the field found their formations disrupted. The very fabric of space bent and twisted around them. Ships struggled to maintain course as gravitational forces pulled them in unexpected directions. 3 battlecruisers collided, their hulls scraping together in showers of sparks. Another spun out of control, its navigation systems confused by the changing gravitational field. 2 more opened fire on each other, their targeting computers unable to distinguish friend from foe. "What is happening?" Chirac demanded. "Report. The human ship is creating gravity anomalies," Vectar explained, his voice filled with disbelief. "Our ships cannot maintain formation. Navigation systems are failing." "Impossible. No species has mastered gravitational warfare." "Use your long-range scanners," Lisa suggested quietly to Turner. "Show them what they are really fighting." "Good idea," Turner agreed. He activated the ship's external sensors to their maximum range, broadcasting the data on all frequencies. The scan revealed something that made the entire Vorn fleet pause in their attack. The data showed the Vengeance's true specifications: energy output that matched a small sun, weapons systems beyond any known technology, shield frequencies that operated in dimensions the Vorn could not detect. "What are you?" Chirac whispered, staring at the impossible readings. "We are what you forgot," Turner responded, his voice broadcast to the entire enemy fleet. "We are the inheritors of the First Contact War. We are the ones who made the galaxy tremble, and we are done pretending to be less than we are." The Vengeance accelerated toward the enemy fleet. No longer content to fight defensively, the ancient warship moved with grace that belied its age. Reality warpers activated, creating confusion in enemy sensor arrays. Probability manipulators made enemy weapons miss their targets by impossibly small margins. The battle became a masterclass in advanced warfare. Single shots from the Vengeance disabled multiple enemy ships. Defensive measures that should have been impossible prevented all significant damage to the human vessel. Chirac's remaining ships tried everything. They fired at maximum power. They attempted ramming attacks. They coordinated their shots to hit the same spot simultaneously. Nothing worked. "Commander," Vectar reported grimly, "we have lost 14 ships. 8 more are severely damaged and withdrawing. Our weapons are ineffective." "No," Chirac snarled. "This cannot be. We are the Vorn. We are the premier warriors of the galaxy." "Sir," Vectar said carefully, "the battle is lost. If we do not retreat, our entire fleet will be destroyed." Chirac slammed his massive fist on the command console. The reality of the situation finally penetrated his rage. This was not the fight he had expected. He was not fighting primitives. He was fighting a civilization that had deliberately hidden its power for centuries. "All ships," he finally ordered, "retreat to minimum safe distance, maintain defensive formation." As the Vorn fleet withdrew, the Vengeance did not pursue. Instead, the human warship adjusted its position to stand between the enemy fleet and the human colonies. On the bridge of the Vengeance, the crew allowed themselves to breathe again. They had survived their first real battle with the ancient systems, but they all knew this was not the end. "Casualties?" Turner asked. None, sir, Dr. Watson reported from the medical bay. Minor injuries from normal operations, but the ship protected us completely. Damage? Minimal, Chief Johnson replied. Shields absorbed everything they threw at us, all systems operating normally. Communications. Turner turned to Rachel. Open a channel to what remains of Chirac's fleet. When the connection established, Chirac's image appeared again. The proud warrior looked different now. Humbled, perhaps, even afraid. This battle is over, Turner stated clearly. Return to the Galactic Council. Tell them what you have learned here. Tell them that humanity will defend its territory and its people. But also tell them that we seek no further conflict. We want only what is rightfully ours. Chirac's mandibles moved slowly as he considered his response. The Council will demand explanations. They will want to know why humans hid such power. 3 days after the battle, a new fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. Unlike Chirac's war fleet, these ships came in peace. A dozen vessels of different designs represented the major powers of the Galactic Council. Leading them was the flagship of the United Human Federation, carrying Admiral Jennifer Collins. On the USS Vengeance, Captain Turner waited with his senior staff on the bridge. They had spent the time since the battle making repairs and studying the ship's ancient systems. The colonists on Kepler 4 had celebrated their victory, but Turner knew the real changes were yet to come. Human fleet dropping out of hyperspace, Karen Ross announced from navigation. Admiral Collins is signaling for docking clearance. Grant it, Turner ordered. Prepare to receive her aboard. Admiral Collins arrived with a security detail and a young woman introduced as Ambassador Claire Thompson. Collins was in her 60s, with gray hair, wearing a crisp uniform covered in medals. Her expression was serious as she stepped onto the bridge. Captain Turner, she said formally, by order of Earth Command and the United Human Federation, I am here to assume command of the USS Vengeance pending a full investigation. Turner felt his stomach drop. Admiral, with respect, my crew has just demonstrated that this ship can defend human space against threats the Council considers overwhelming. That is precisely the problem, Collins replied. You have revealed technology that has been classified above top secret for centuries. The political implications are enormous. She gestured to the view screen where the alien ships waited. Do you know what you have done? Every major power in the galaxy now knows humans possess weapons far beyond what they believed. Trust has been broken on all sides. Sir, Lisa Morgan spoke up. We had no choice. The Council gave us an ultimatum. They would have taken our colonies and made our people workers. Collins sighed. I understand, Commander, truly. But now we must deal with the consequences. She looked at Turner. Earth Command wants the Vengeance placed in secure storage. They want all crew members who have seen these technologies to sign strict, non-disclosure agreements. And what about our colonists? Turner asked. What about defending human space? That is what I'm here to discuss, Collins replied, but first we have visitors. As if on cue, Rachel Martinez announced an incoming communication from the flagship of the Delari delegation. The view screen activated, showing not just the Delari ambassador but representatives from the Dominion Empire, the Krill Collective, and, surprisingly, Chirac himself. Captain Turner, the Delari ambassador began. We request permission to board your vessel. The Council wishes to discuss new terms of understanding. Turner looked at Admiral Collins, who nodded. Permission granted. Meet us in Conference Room 1. 2 hours later, the conference room of the Vengeance held an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from 6 different species sat around the large table. Chirac sat quietly at one end, his armor still showing damage from the battle. Ambassador Claire Thompson spoke first. The United Human Federation wishes to make our position clear. We never intended to deceive the galaxy about our capabilities. Our ancestors made agreements we were bound to honor. But recent events have shown that hidden truths serve no one. The Dominion representative Takresh leaned forward. Your ship, the Vengeance, it represents technology we thought lost forever. The First Contact War devastated multiple civilizations. The peace treaty was meant to prevent such destruction, again. And it worked for centuries, the Delari ambassador added. But times change. Species evolve. Perhaps hiding from the past no longer serves any of us. Chirac suddenly spoke, his deep voice filling the room. I came to that battle expecting to crush primitives. Instead, I found worthy opponents. Warriors who defend their people with skill and restraint. He looked directly at Turner. Captain, your ship could have destroyed my entire fleet. You chose not to. You showed honor and victory. We seek no revenge or empire, Turner replied. Only peace and fair treatment for our people. The Krill representative clicked rapidly, the translator, turning its sounds into words. We Krill respect strength. We also respect mercy. Perhaps the galaxy would benefit from a species that possesses both. Over the next several hours, new agreements took shape. The Council would grant humanity full rights to the Kepler system and 3 other frontier zones. Human colonies would have complete autonomy. In exchange, humans would share some medical and defensive technologies with friendly species. Most importantly, the First Contact War would be declassified. The history books would finally tell the truth about humanity's real first meeting with alien life. The galaxy would learn to see humans not as newcomers or primitives, but as an ancient spacefaring civilization that had chosen peace over dominance. As the meeting concluded, Chirac made an unexpected request. Captain Turner, I ask for a boon. I wish to serve aboard the USS Vengeance as a liaison officer. I would learn your ways of warfare and perhaps teach you some of our own. Turner was surprised. You would join the crew of the ship that defeated you? A warrior learns from opponents, Chirac replied. And perhaps I can help bridge understanding between our peoples. Yesterday we were enemies. Today we have the chance to become allies. After the aliens departed, Admiral Collins pulled Turner aside. Earth Command has revised their orders. The Vengeance will remain under your command, but you will receive additional crew members trained specifically for these ancient systems, and you will report directly to Earth's highest military authority. What changed their minds? Turner asked. Reality, Collins replied simply. We cannot put the genie back in the bottle. The galaxy knows what humans can do. We must be ready to defend ourselves and possibly others. Your ship proved that one human warship properly crewed can stand against fleets. Imagine what a properly equipped human space force could accomplish. She handed him a data pad. Coordinates to 17 supply depots mentioned in your ship's navigation database. Sealed orders from Earth Command. You will visit each site and assess what resources remain from the war. Are there other ships? Turner asked. Other Titan-class warships? That information is classified, Collins said. But I can tell you this. The Vengeance will not be alone much longer. Earth is awakening other capabilities. Not for conquest, but for defense and diplomacy backed by strength that others will respect. 2 weeks later, the USS Vengeance prepared to depart from Kepler space. Their first mission would take them to the coordinates of the nearest supply depot. The crew had integrated their new understanding of the ancient systems with modern tactics. Chirac stood at a bridge station, learning human procedures and sharing Vorn combat knowledge. Captain Turner addressed the crew one final time before departure. We have learned that our ancestors were not primitives pretending to be advanced. They were warriors who chose peace over continued war. They had strength but showed wisdom by hiding it. Now that strength has been revealed, we must use it wisely. He looked around at familiar and new faces alike. The galaxy will watch us differently now. Some with respect, some with fear. Our responsibility is to prove that humanity deserves to walk among the stars. Not as conquerors, but as defenders. Not as rulers, but as partners. As the Vengeance engaged its engines and jumped to hyperspace across the galaxy, the sound of ancient machinery awakening could be heard. Deep in secure bunkers on various human worlds, other ships began receiving power for the first time in centuries. Lights flickered on in sealed hangars. Command centers that had been dormant for generations sprang to life. On the moon, in a facility, Hidden beneath craters artificially created to mask its presence, technicians began final checks on a massive vessel. The name USS Odin was barely visible on its darkened hull, but soon it would shine again in the light of distant stars. The galaxy had remembered what humanity truly was, not the newest species to join the cosmic community, but one of the oldest. And in that remembering, the balance of power had shifted forever. Aboard the Vengeance, Katie Anderson monitored sensor readings as they traveled through hyperspace. "Captain," she reported, "multiple power signatures activating across human space, similar to our ship's energy profile." Turner nodded with satisfaction. "The sleepers awaken, and the galaxy will learn that the USS Vengeance was not unique. It was merely the first to open its eyes." The ancient warship continued its journey through the stars, leading humanity into a new era. An era where human strength would be known, respected, and used not for conquest, but for the protection of all who lived in peace. The days of hiding were over. The age of truth had begun.